Hello, my name is Evie and welcome back to Overwatch Everyday. This is a series where I play 1 to 5 ranked games each day and I explain my thought process that gets me up to champion on all roles throughout the video. In this episode, I experience playing against Sierra for the first time on tank and I get quite caught off guard by how oppressive she is. But I'm able to make the right adaptations and we give ourselves a fighting chance in that oppressive game. Then later dominating a Junkertown game on Reinhardt, which quickly turns sour due to neglecting a super important aspect of ground tanks. Then learning and focusing on that idea that we missed to completely roll over our next 2 games. This episode was the first one streamed live on Twitch, and I'd love to hear your guys' feedback in the comments on if you enjoyed me replying to questions in the chat throughout the video, or if any of you would be interested in seeing me stream these games live. But with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Okay, looking like Kings Row, Gibraltar. Oh, I forgot to vote random map. 2 subs for a hype train, so you thought it'd be cool. That is cool. Yo, thank you, Duels and Lilyoda316 for the follow. I really appreciate it. Sorry, I don't have alerts set up yet. Okay, I'm gonna lock in a little bit. I'll be a little bit slower to read chat, but when I run out of things to sort of talk about, I'll be looking at chat and just answering any questions or things. Here on Kings Row, a lot of comps can be played and a lot of tanks can be really, really strong. I would pick around my team or start thinking about what I want to play around my team here. I want to be trying to get in some Diva today because I haven't talked about Diva on this series yet. Looking like Diva is going to be banned though, rather unfortunate. With Diva, Widowmaker, Mauga, and Cassidy banned. Maybe a little bit. Ramatra is going to be a little bit better here. Mauga is going to be, or Ramatra is going to be falling over a little bit to Mauga. Since we have the Cat and the Soldier and the Tracer, we're going to be having a lot of lane pressure. Our Soldier and Tracer are both going to be capable of sort of taking a lot of flanks, and our Curie and Cat are going to be as well. So there's sort of 2 lines of thoughts here. I can also go something really mobile to try to help +1 a bunch of like duels on lanes, or I could be playing something really tanky, really slow, really self-sustainable, and just sort of sitting on the point main. I think I am going to lean into that sort of like self-sustainable tankiness on the point. I'm going to try out Domina here. The idea behind Domina is just going to be, I'm going to be able to play around this hotel area on first point, and then whenever they want to start touching the cart, I'm going to be able to swing, and if they ever try to take any important space like the high grounds, or if they want to be fighting on statue, then I'm going to be able to just sort of chill and poke them out. There are a lot of things I could play here. I don't think there's exactly like right answer, but this can be pretty solid. So now they're on Pharah, and now that I see that my Tracer goes down, so I just want to be poking. I need to make sure that I'm saving my resources. As soon as they take some aggressive angles when I want to be getting super active. As their Pharah comes out into open here and their ball goes behind, I just want to be stepping onto the point, poking out this far and trying to shut them down the best that I can. And we are able to find the frag. I want to see if I can deny this Mercy res, because if Pharah gets res here, it could be really bad. But since nobody's pressured right now, we're just going to be chilling. They're not on the point. They're not in like a super strong position with their Spider-Woman sort of chilling on that area. I'm looking for a slam on their Kiriko because they do not have their TP to escape me. And we are able to find it and then just chill. Main thing about Domina, especially since I'm going to be so cooldown dependent on my shield is going to dictate a lot of like actual plays that I can make. I want to make sure that I'm not putting myself in risky positions early to get it forced, and just playing for any sort of like free value that I can get before I really need the shield. So their ball walks in and their Emre starts to swing off of that, so that's when I'm going to be using my shield, because we just force a lot of their team's big cooldowns and engage potential with their ball being forced out. So that's when I'm going to be wanting to shield. And again, same thing. I see their ball gain active. I hear them trying to roll through me. And so that's when I want to be aggressing on their front line and trying to stop any follow-up that their team could have on their ball hit. So as I see the rest of them sort of backing up towards the spawn, I just want to be turning around and clearing our space the best that we can. Because as soon as I see like their Kiriko and their Sierra backing up towards the spawn, it means that whoever's inside of our space is just going to be completely alone. And I'm going to be able to turn it basically for free. We have a lot of ults online. They're going to have mines. Mines are going to be pretty scary. I might actually give a few ticks and flip into this area due to their mines, because I really don't want to be fighting in those mines. I want to just be sort of chilling and poking out whoever I can. I see the Sierra going onto the high ground, which actually can be pretty scary for us. I boot their ball into my soldier LOS, and I'm going to be looking to clear this Emre inside of our space. Emre's going to be doing a lot of damage, and I want to be thinking about my ult. Damn, that hurts! Really wanting to clear out their big threats on the map, because if they're Sierra or just generally their DPS were going to be able to live inside of us any longer, there's going to be a really high chance that they're going to be able to get picks. So I wanted to try and deny them as much as possible. Since I felt pretty low HP, I wasn't able to just sort of like sit main and deny their shooters as much as I wanted to. So that's why I popped the ult, just to deny their Sierra from getting any extra sort of like damage value and potentially opening up the kill for me. Now that they're on Hazard, it's going to be a similar principle of when their Hazard gets in, goes active, is when I need to start pressuring and sort of shooting people out. We are able to take down their Emre during their ult, and my cat is going to hit an amazing pull onto their Hazard. So with that, I'm just going to be stepping up onto their backline the best I can. My Sierra gets res, and I'm actually thinking I'm going to take that. With these, it's going to end up in a pretty brawly fight on point here if they get a contest, so I want to just have this perk to be able to sort of do exactly that, and if their Hazard ever slashes onto me and wants to clear me out from important space, I just slam them out, I get the critical hit damage, and we're going to be able to clean up that point very convincingly. I think that point went fairly well. We were able to full hold, so just mainly due to denying the enemy team's value and getting our passive value over time with Domina especially, and any slower hero like Ramatra or Sigma, something that's going to not have any big committal like big jumps or like high mobility. You're just going to be wanting to slowly get whatever damage passive damage you can without committing too much, because the longer the fight goes, the stronger those heroes are going to be, because they're just going to be so consistent with the raw numbers that they're outputting. You don't have to have any massive spikes, you don't have to be going for any crazy plays, but you just need to think about how you want to be constantly present and constantly an issue for the enemy team on the map. And for a hero like Domina or Ram or Sigma, you still can be going for a little bit more aggressive plays or trying to do a little bit more, but you want to be thinking about how you can match your plays to the enemy team's plays. Like whenever their ball would go in is when I would try to force out their shooters or actually shield up and step onto their shooters. But before that, I was just chilling, poking out, finding whatever damage that I could. Since if they don't commit and we don't commit, then I'll be in a winning position. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm just going to try to lock Domina again and showcase a little bit on attack, where I want to be putting myself in a spot where I'm able to pressure them. Okay, we're going for a play. I don't want to chase that too much further because it's actually not going to be the greatest space for me, but this high ground is going to be really strong because, like I was saying, I want to be finding areas where I can just be kind of a constant pressure and constant like issue for their team. And now that they're using a bunch of their cooldowns, I'm just going to drop. I want to make sure this Domina is sort of like away from me. Their damage boosted Emre is really going to hurt, and I don't want to be taking my cat lift. I'm a little bit sad that my supports are stacking on me, but it's okay. It just means that we're going to have to be playing even slower because we're not actually going to have the angles to follow up on any like big damage that we do. But I'm just going to be taking this right area. I don't want to walk out until I have my shield, but now that I have my shield, I'm going to be stepping onto the point. I do get better shield. Little like tip about Domina is ideally you want to try to be getting your shield 2 layered. I see their Emre behind, so I'm just going to walk this down. I'm really worried about their Domina sort of holding the corner, but I'm just going to wait for my shields to sort of come back up and then walk up onto the point. With their Emery down, they're not actually going to have... I was about to say they won't have crazy damage, but then their Sierra and then swung me. So because they have a bunch of damage coming onto me, I'm just going to back up as I'm pulling some attention and just let my angles cook. Their Domina falls pretty low, and this is the time in which you want to be actually looking to get a little active. Hitting a big ult onto their backline, but I'm not actually going to walk on it. I'm going to use that pressure because now their backline is not able to walk. They're not able to do anything. So I'm going to be using that ultimate to clear the Domina on the point because I know that I just cut off the rest of their support. And with that all said and done, we will be winning that game, going 16-0 for our first one. 9,000 damage. Honestly, it was just a really chill burger game. I think that we played our defense really well, and it's going to be really hard for them to actually like hold. It's going to be hard once we get that full cap. But honestly, pretty damn good start to it. Oh, I actually have no idea how long. And that win will put us up to GM3. That's awesome. I don't think that we're going to be able to get champ today, but it is going to be coming up pretty soon here for our tank. What's going to happen when I get to champion? I'm just going to keep doing the same stuff. I'm still just going to keep uploading. I'll probably run a poll at some point if we would like me to basically do like start on a new account again. Once I get all of the roles up to champ. But the rank is not what I want the focus of the series to be, because the thought process that I use stays the same in basically every rank. Identifying what's going wrong, what are my tools to be able to fix it, and executing the idea that I have to fix it the best that I can is what I'm going to be doing in literally every rank. The execution is all that changes, is how difficult is the execution of the idea. That's the only thing that changes through ranks. But the actual thought process that I use doesn't change at all. So I don't want an emphasis on the rank in this series, but if it's more helpful for people to sort of see me play like in various ranks, then I can definitely get that going. But I plan on either way, no matter what, I'm just gonna be we get another poke, okay. I'm just gonna continue uploading. Maybe it might change. Like maybe the vibe will change over time for the series, but I plan on keeping Overwatch every day as consistent and going as long as I can. And I'm at a point where I can start adding other content on top of that. But now going into the game a little bit here, we are on Circuit Royale defense. We're going to be seeing an Alari, Kiriko, and an Ashe. There are going to be a few things that are viable here. Of course, something pretty frontliney, pretty pokey is going to be really, really strong. We kind of want to be a constant presence and make it really difficult for the enemy team to walk. So heroes like Domina, Reinhardt, Sigma, Ramatra is going to be probably the best pick here. I'm going to be leaning into Sigma though. A lot of heroes are viable here, but as my team wants to be running this extremely like heavy, long, like leaning into like super long fights and poke oriented comps, Sigma is just going to be one of the tanks that's going to have the most constant uptime and presence on the front line, and forcing the enemy team to look at me for the longest period of time comparative to something like an Orisa, who's going to be a little bit more bound by their cooldowns. So they're going to be on ball, and that's really important. The concept that we just talked about in the last game is going to be very applicable here. Even though we're on Domina, or even though we're on Sigma instead of Domina, it's going to be the same thing as once their ball is getting active is when we want to be generally getting active. So I'm just going to be holding this corner. We don't have to do really that much, and now that their ball is in, that's when I'm going to be looking for my value. I don't hit the rock, I'm not able to find any kill, and they're able to shred my shield. And they will be finding value off of their ball hit. If I get booped in, I'm just going to be trying to use my hands to get out. Wow. They got a lot of damage. Mercy, Emre, Sierra might actually just be straight up too much damage for Sigma. I'm going to try one more fight, and if it's going poorly, I might play D.Va. Because D.Va, if it's too much damage for me to deal with, if my shield is getting shredded too fast for me to actually have any real uptime, then D.Va is just going to be able to eat infinite damage, and it's just going to be basically bound by my DM usage rather than my actual like shield management. So I'll be having more consistent uptime, even if it's like less ideally. So we're able to hit the rock onto the Sierra, and I see the Mercy inside, but our Ashe is going to be down. We're going to be, since we're down 1, we want to be looking for some sort of big play or get out. Oh my god, they shred my shield so fast. Okay, yeah. D.Va's a play. I'm going to be looking to stable here, and then Flux. After I get my Flux off is when I'm going to swap to D.Va. Just sort of staring at my team here. It's going to be really hard for me to actually like help them out at all. Oh my god. I missed my Flux because I'm a bum. I see their Mercy and I see their Emre. I'm going to be looking for a rock on that. It does not cancel, unfortunately. I'm not really sure why. I feel like most other ults like that actually end up canceling. Their Kiriko falls super 1 HP, and I want to be putting myself in a spot where I'm able to follow up on their TP, but since they are going to be behind that corner and card is really, really close, and I don't really know where the entire enemy team is, I was just going to sit on card and just bounce my shots. So their Sierra is really close, and I want to ideally get this stagger, and we are able to find it. I want to make sure that my team who stepped up with me, though, is going to be safe. Forces out the res, kind of sucks, but I'm rocking this corner to make sure that they're not able to actually follow up on me, since I was 1 HP, and a lot of people will breed for that in ranked. Their ball goes in, so I'm just going to be trying to poke out their backline the best that I can here. Forcing their Mercy out would be really, really nice. Ball's inside our space. This is where I'm going to be using my hands and trying to chill. Our Ashe is about to go down, and the Sierra takes a lot of space. I'm cut off by their Sierra ult. Wow, that hero's good. Okay. 80 to my next Flux, but I don't think it's actually going to be worth. D.Va is banned. Oh, what's my play here? Is it Ball? I think I have to mirror Ball. Ball is going to be another hero that's going to be able to have a lot of uptime, even if you don't have directly like super strong numbers, just due to mobility and cycles. Because Ball is able to sort of be in and out constantly, you're going to have a lot of uptime over the course of the game. Rather than Sigma, who's going to be like, you have a baseline amount of numbers that you need to force before they're no longer like viable to hold space. So we get a slam onto their high ground, which will take some attention away from the card. I just want to be continuously rolling around. I don't want to ever be like getting full force out, because I want to be putting myself in spots to actually get some good slams off. Our slam onto their Emre is going to force their Mercy to use Valk. So since I see my carry TP in, I want to actually be doubling back here to make sure that they don't die if they don't need to. And we are going to be able to clean up the rest of them on the point. Ball is side of our space, but it will be okay. And they go back main. Their Mercy's really close. I think their DPS are coming back a little bit too soon for me to chase that, though. If I tried to chase when my team was not there, or when their team was there, I probably would have died because it's just a little bit too much damage. And I would have been in a really committal and open position. So recognizing that, I just want to chill, make sure that I have the maximum uptime possible. I see their Emre main, so their Ball mine's in, so I'm just going to be immediately matching that pressure. And we're able to find the kill onto their Kiriko and their Mercy because of it. It's going to be a lot harder for an ultimate like Mines, which is a really, really great zoning tool, to take space. But it's going to be really strong to hold space. Oh, I missed my grapples. Sierra is super 1 HP, and my Trace is able to clean it up. A little bit of a mechanical mishap, but these things will happen. If I was able to hit my grab blow, I would have gone for like a little double spin play. As long as like our general idea of having uptime when their ball is active, it's going to make it really, really difficult for their team to take any space. So I think that the rest of their team is actually going to be going coast pretty soon. So I'm going to be putting myself in a spot to try to boop it. Unfortunately, I'm not able, so I'm just going to slam and get out. Oh, that's in range? I really thought that I would have been okay, or I would have been outside of the ball's slam range before. So it's going to put our team in a really rough spot here. The Sierra ult is going to be able to find a kill onto our Ashe. And now I'm thinking that I just want to start by contesting the point, but since I see my Tracer on it, I'm actually going for this Emray. And the Sierra, clearing the high ground since I'm not needed on the cart yet, but I'm constantly looking at the cart progress at the top of my screen. And knowing if I need to back up, I would immediately just drop off the high ground, stop whatever I'm shooting, and just stand on the cart and spin around for a while. Because if they were able to win or force out whoever is on the cart from my team, then it would have ended really, really bad for us. So they want to be clearing me off this high ground. I'm going to make it as difficult as possible. They really don't. They're going to feel really uncomfortable with me behind them. Their ball uses slam, which is a lot more committal than what we use, which is just grapple. So that allows us to go for any sort of play like that. And we do find the boop onto the Sierra, making sure that I'm trying to save my shields a bit for I want to save my shields for like the big splash of the Emray ult. Just trying to deny as much value as I can. Mercy's going to be the priority target here, but since they're in Valk, I actually need to be backing up to the point, and I'm hoping that I make it. There's a mines on the point. I slammed the Kiriko, which could result in a kill. Awesome sauce. I do go down, but my Reaper's on the point. As long as my Kiri is in a position to actually help out my Reaper and we don't get booped off, we can maybe stall. No. Oh well. We definitely had the right adaptation. The idea of making sure that we're trying to maintain as much uptime as possible to let our shooters shoot was going to be the play. Even after we swapped onto the Reaper and the Tracer, with them having double hit scan and Mercy in general, it's going to make it really, really difficult for any one of us on our team to sustain. So actually going Ball or Diva or something that is going to be able to have a lot of pressure onto them and a lot of uptime without having just a raw numbers that they can force out, since they're speccing so much of their team composition into the raw numbers, into the raw damage. A hero like Sigma, who will have just a straight up threshold that if you break their shield, you can just sort of walk at them, force them out. Sigma's going to be a lot weaker, but an adaptation to play a little bit more for like either mobility pressure or DM is going to be an easier way to win this game. Now, I think for attack here, I'm actually probably going to scout and counter. Any Brawl tank, if they're going to remain on that Sierra, Emray, Mercy, any Brawl tank is going to feel miserable here. Maybe Zarya could make something happen, but even though they're putting a bunch of damage into you, you're going to get high charge. If you can't get onto them in time before you die, then it's going to feel really bad. So I'm going to just scout on Ball, and I'm just going to swap. If they're on something with a little less damage, I will go something else, but it looks like that will not be the case. We see the Emry, we see the Mercy. Ball's going to be top left, and our Reaper goes in, so I'm actually going to clear up this top left. Oh, god damn! Damn, they hurt. Okay, sorry, I haven't had that many interactions against the Sierra yet. I don't know or I'm still developing my feel on like what 1v1s I can take and whatnot about it. So that will just be a little bit of a learning experience for me. I'm waiting for my Reaper to come back and now my Cassidy. I'm going to just be staging on this high ground. So I wait for my Cassidy to come back. Making sure I pay attention to my Reaper. I really don't want them to get forced out here. Okay, so my team is struggling to actually stabilize and just sort of walking into their shooter LOS. So with that in mind, even though we're down some, I'm going to be looking for some consistent pressure onto their backliners. If I can get them to look at me a little bit, it's going to raise the chances of my team being able to walk out a lot, even though it's going to be a lot more mechanically demanding on me. But we are going to be able to get a little bit of card space here, and I need to be holding this left side. I'm looking for another slam, just trying to keep my uptime the best that I can. The CRL will be backing, and there's going to be low ground. They find a nade onto me, so I'm just going to be chilling. Wondering how can I win here? Mercy. Mercy is going to be my primary target here, as I can't kill anything through Mercy, so if I'm able to get a good slam onto her, I think that it will be much more winnable to win this game. So we're just going to take some attention. I fuck up my grapple a little bit, but we are slowly forcing them back. I'm going to get one slam. Hope I don't get sleep. End up dodging the sleep. And now that they pop an ultimate, we just need to like super chill. 2 ultimates. My team is trying their best to live here. Find a slam onto Mercy. Get them 1 HP, but we're not able to clean up, unfortunately. And we'll be chilling. That feels really bad. That'll feel really bad in your games as you finally got a little bit of momentum. They're going to use some ultimates to try to clean this up. But that's really good in the long run for our roommate, because now the advantage that we have off of that is going to be our own ultimates. We will have 5 ults going into this next fight. They're going to have 3. They're going to have their Valkyrie. Oh, they Valk. They're going to have Valk, Nano, and Sierra. Or no, not Sierra. Mines. And we are going to be able to pop ours to get some sort of value. My Alaria is fragging out. Nano comes out onto their Emre. And I see all of this going on, and I'm astonished by it. I am Pikachu surprise face, my mouth wide open, staring and watching the movie happen as I just win the game on the cart. Their ball finally comes to mark me, but at this point, this has now opened up an option, like a really important option for us to just go force the card to open up space, and somebody's going to have to back for us, and it means that our ball, or their ball, probably is not going to be able to actually pressure our team much. A little bit of a micro mistake for me. I have a habit of every time I get into the spawn room, I actually don't walk into the healing, because it's better to give my support some ult charge. But I didn't think that their Emre would swing that far to actually find the shot onto me. Their Emre on that left side, I'm going to be slamming, enabling my Genji to sort of walk in. I want to be pressuring this Ana a lot. My Genji's going to be able to find 3 off of the pressure that we took. No sleep dart coming out onto them. It kind of looks like Cat. The drone kind of looks like Cat. That threw me off for a second. Our Ashe is going to go down. I don't think that they have mines though. I think that will be pretty chill, but we do want this ball off the point very quickly, and we will be finding it, which is wonderful. Both the other points here are going to be a little bit easier, and especially with our shield perk coming up very soon, playing into the Ana is going to get a lot easier. And we're going to be able to go for a few more aggressive plays and maybe find their Mercy. I see their Emre walking up, so I'm going to be looking for a boot play in us, and we will be able to find it and clean it up. Now, main thing that I'm thinking about is how do I stop res? Ball goes in. I don't really want to be that aggressive. I just want to be holding that space, making sure that they're not able to res that Emre. And since we're just sort of aura farming there, the Mercy will not be able to res. We're going to be getting our next hit off. Our Genji goes low, so I'm just going to be popping my shields for them. I could mines maybe. But I'm rather just going to back up and slam on the cart, trying to live the best that I can. I think maybe mines in there would be good. But oh, now it's amazing. Oh my god, oh, that's the best thing ever. Oh, I'm grinning ear to ear that I don't have to play into Valk this fight. My Cat's behind them. I really don't want them staggered, so I'm going to put myself in a position ready to take some attention if they need it. I see they're on the top left and they don't have sleep dart. That's going to be pretty big for me. Ball's just spinning around on the car. Sierra ult comes out, but I'm going to find the mines onto their Ana and it should find a kill. Rush from our Kiriko. I'm trying to find a slam onto this Mercy, who's going to be my primary target for this fight. Since even if I start fragging out onto other people, that res is going to be really, really dangerous. Their ball is going to be able to clean us up, and that Emre is going to be very high priority. I'm trying to kill him before the Ana is able to heal them up, but unfortunately I won't be quick enough. I am able to force out the gun though. backing up to give some shields to my team. The ball gets kidnapped, which is amazing. We really just need a lot of damage onto it, but unfortunately they will go down. We have 20 seconds left on the clock. We do end up finding the kill onto the ball. I'm going to be looking for a slam and then just immediately shielding and backing up since they have a bunch of damage on me. We want to play for a Bob. Nano comes out onto our Emre. I need to be thinking about touch here. Bob is on the cart. I don't have my shields yet, but I'm pretty close to it. I'm going to immediately back up and just sort of slam to give myself a little bit of wiggle room onto the cart, but it will not be enough. Wow. Sierra. Wow. Sierra Emre Mercy. It's a lot of damage. I think that might be the strongest comp here on this map now. I think we adapted probably the best that we could have with the specific bands of the map. If I was able to go D.Va, I think that might be a little bit better. But I think ball was definitely the solution. I'm wondering what I could have done differently on second. I think if I was able to get onto their Mercy a little bit more early on in the fights, it could be really good. But honestly, I tried my best. I think that's a harder game to win. I think for the future, just recognizing that into those super high damage comps, I need to be trying to force out the things that are enabling the shooters to shoot as much as they do. But on a map like that where it's just so one lane and I have to path through the Sierra LOS and through the Emre LOS, I think it can be really hard. Taking a look at chat here. Evie, is this for your... Yes, I will be uploading this to YouTube and seeing how it feels. Seeing how it goes. One thing I liked with other vids is I seem to play similarly even in the lower ranks. I feel like some other people play a lot more aggressively than they would at their own rank. Yeah, something I really don't like about unranked GMs is if you have, especially like the sort of like aim skill or mechanical skills, you can just sort of 1v1 ego a lot of people, but I personally don't really believe in that. If I'm like, I have a lot of skills to win different games. I try to make myself as well balanced of a player as I can be, but actually making sure that I'm picking the right like skills or the right things to play for in each game and what would be like most optimal to winning for a wider majority of players is kind of like my goal with this series. Trying to get more into tank. Already play Zarya and Sigma mostly. Do you think Winston or D.Va would be better to learn? D.Va's probably going to be better to learn right now, though I do think Winston teaches better fundamentals of the game. I think Winston is going to be really good at... Winston is one of the heroes with an insanely high skill ceiling, and if you play them really well, you can play them into basically anything. D.Va is just going to be good. D.Va's numbers are really good. If your goal is to win, then D.Va is going to be really good. If your goal is to learn as fast as you can about the game and build yourself up as the best player you can be in the shortest amount of time, I think Winston will be the better. But generally, I think like either one would work. Whatever is most fun to you. Pick whatever is most fun to you. D.Va is probably going to be better though. Also, thank you, Bussane, for the follow. Okay. Locking a little bit back into the game here, we're going to be on Junkertown attack. There's a few things that we could pick here. Ball is banned, so if they have something, Ball and D.Va are banned. So if they have like an insane shooter comp like last time, I'm gonna have to really think out of the box on how I want to deal with that. Seems like they're going to be on Hazard, Reaper, something very brawly. Reaper's in this bottom left. I'm just going to be sitting on cart. Since I have a bunch of shooters, my thought process is I want to be like trying to enable them as much as possible as I'm just sort of sitting on cart and winning the game. So I was paying attention to my Widow there to see if there would be anything that I'd be able to do. My Sierra takes this right side, so I want to clear out this Reaper who's going to be the biggest threat to them. As a Hazard slashes in, I look for a rock on them, just trying to do whatever I can. to enable my shooters to shoot the best that they can. As they start to step on me and get some more angles around me, that's when I'm going to be backing up. Their hazard overextends a little bit, so we're just able to clean that up with a rock, but making sure that we're just backing up and living to find that opportunity later in the fight is going to be really, really important. If we just died on the cart there, then there was no way that we would have been able to kill that hazard. Lari's far right side, I'm not able to really do that much about it, so I'm just going to be chilling main and pushing the cart, winning the game. My team doesn't want to be pushing the cart, so I will. Ideally, I'd be able to step up and chase that Reaper, but that won't be the case right here. But my Widow's finding some amazing kills anyways, so it's going to be okay. Missed my rock on the Sigma, but I think that's going to be fine. No one gets rocks, but I am going to just be trying to buffer this front line a little bit. See this Kiriko falling low on the right side, and even though the Sigma's in, I think that I'm just going to be pressuring out this soldier because that's going to be the real damage and the real threat to like my team. Their Sigma might be able to find one, but if their soldier and their Sigma were both sort of together and shooting out my team, then there would have been a much higher chance of them finding multiple kills and just winning the fight then and there. I get off the cart trying to sort of get my teammates onto the cart because it's going to be pretty important for me to hold this top right area. Just making sure that their soldier and their Sigma aren't able to get the space that they really want. I see their soldier going top left, which is going to be a little bit scary. If their Sigma's low ground, then I'd be able to walk over there. But since they're matching me on this high ground, I just want to be holding the space a bit, being a constant presence and threat. But now that their Sigma dropped onto that low ground, it's going to be our chance to sort of clear out this space. The Reaper's backing up to peel me though, so with that in our... Wow. That guy just wanted it. I really thought I'd be fine there. As I walked into my support LOS, I had my cooldowns to sort of live, and as well as I'd be able to flux as soon as I got a little bit of healing or I grabbed Mega. But that was a good play from the Reaper. Ideally though, as soon as like their Sigma, we need to just be constantly identifying, especially on tank, of just sort of marking out threats and being the biggest threat that we can as a tank. Because if we're making it so that they can't win the game, we're going to be looking pretty good. As a tank, it is very similar to like MMOs or MOBAs where you want to be trying to draw a lot of aggro to let your DPS sort of shoot and let your team play the game as much as possible. But it's not going to be the only way to, or it's not going to be all to win ranked. You can't just sort of make the enemy team look at you, even though that has a lot of value. And it can be it's going to be a necessity to actually be winning on tank. You also need to find your own value. You need to become your own threats while marking out their threats. So their Sigma's walking on me. I don't have any supports with me, so I'm just going to be backing. Reaper's close on this corner, so I'm just going to force their fade. I don't have my hands, but that's going to be a-okay. I've been holding on to my flux for a little bit here, but I haven't needed it for the past few fights. But hopefully if they're holding these aggressive chokes, then it might be good to use my flux to sort of clear out the area here. The Reaper uses a fade and Lucia's looking for a boop. I'm going to be fluxing their main area. I wanted to ideally hit their Cassidy, or their Kiriko I mean. My Widowmate finds an amazing kill into a visor. Lucio's inside of us. I did not turn properly to block the rock, and we will be going down in this fight. Now that my flux is off, I'm thinking about if Sigma's still the best hero here. I don't think that they are. Into their comp, I want to make it I want to make it really annoying for the Reaper to play the game. I want to make it really annoying for the Sigma to play the game. So I'm going to be going Ram here. With the idea of I'm going to still be taking space in a really similar way that I was to Sigma, but now I'm going to have a lot more of like a presence on the point, and the Reaper's not going to be able to force me out nearly as easily. I see my team walking this top left, and I won't be getting that much care, so I just want to be chilling. Now that I have my shield back up in a moment, it's going to be my time to walk. Finding the slow onto both their supports, we're going to force out their Flux and their B. As I see their Sigma walking into our space completely away from his supports, it's going to be making him my primary target here. but their soldier's going to be taking the high ground and cleaning the rest of us up, which is okay. They used a lot of ults there. They used their flux, they used their beat. We only just basically used one because we swapped onto Symmetra. Just means we're probably going to be having ult advantage in this next fight. I see a lot of them top left, which is very okay for me. Because we're going to be on Ramattra, I'm going to have a little bit more brawl potential. I'm going to be able to pop my form and sort of force them back off of this space. They are going to stable our form though, and continuously pressure us out, but we are able to eventually actually hold this space. Now that I have my ultimate, I'm going to be thinking about how I want to be getting actually aggressive. The Reaper walks up in the form, Fate is forced, and it's going to be my time to actually go. I know that they have rock and they want to be using it in that small corridor, so I'm just going to be backing up, forcing their... That's the wrong perk, don't get that perk. We're going to be forcing their Sigma to walk into my brawl range, since it's going to be the only way that they're able to find any sort of value onto us, and they needed to find value onto us there. This is a little spot really useful for Junkertown. You're able to get to the high ground on this side without having to peek the team. A little bit annoying with how the... Wait, did they? No, surely they didn't. I just messed it up a few times, but you can get to the high ground that way. If I was able to take the high ground, then their soldier wouldn't be able to find any angle with the visor, and making sure that whenever you get the chance as a brawl tank, if you're able to start in a power position on the point but not actually stand on the point, it's going to be really, really strong, because now they're forced to clear you out of that power possession. They're forced to clear you out of that space that they need to win the fight. Hello, Reaper Blossom. I'm going to be forming this aggressively, I think. They use their beat and their flux. I'm going to be chilling here and trying to catch out whoever I can. With Rush, I'm no longer going to be able to brawl or out-brawl their team, so I'm just going to be putting my AirPods in, blocking on the point, and I think that will be the end of this round. I think that's definitely okay, a very solid push, and I think that's super, super winnable for us. Things I could have probably done differently. Maybe Reinhardt would have been better than Ramattra. Reinhardt would have been better than Ramattra, and I also think that if I got the right major perk on Ramattra, things would have felt a lot easier. With Nanite Repair, while it can, like, objectively it's not bad, it's pretty good, but the opportunity cost of Void Surge is just insane. Like, Void Surge is going to be a really, really, really strong perk right now. Your damage per second on Ramattra is just going to shoot up, and you're going to be a lot less pressured to form to actually step or get aggressive, because you're going to be a lot more of a threat by default. So making sure that you're getting Void Surge, and I think I feel confident saying, like, every game, there's almost never going to be a time where you want Nanite Repair. It's going to be really important, but I just misclicked and it will cost us, I think, a good bit. Alari, Soldier, Sierra, Lifeweaver. I think that I want to be playing something that is going to be able to hold down the cart and can maintain constant pressure for my team. Sigma could be good here, Ram could be good, Orisa, Reinhardt. I'm going to go Reinhardt for at least this first fight, just because I picked a little bit late. I got a little bit caught up in my words. And this point specifically is pretty good for Reinhardt, because I'm going to be able to stable inside the Mega, and it's going to be really difficult for their team to actually get any kills onto us. So the Reaper TPs to this left area, and we are just going to immediately chase them down. Kiri TP Suzu'd onto us, but we are too low to actually chase. Since the Reaper doesn't have a fade though, I'm just going to be poking. I have my Alara heals. The Reaper's low. I still have a lot of shield health, but now as my health gets a little bit lower is when we're going to want to back up, let our shield regenerate. Soldier's on that far right, something really important to know, so this inside area is going to be really important for us to take. I really need to make sure that I have shield health for when I need to get active on main, and as it looks like they're stepping at my team on that coast area is when we want to be looking for a sort of play on main and making sure that we stop the cart the best that we can. Really just turtling and bunkering, but a really important part whenever you're playing something like this or a playstyle like this, you need to be constantly aware of what space on the map they're developing and what their threats are looking like. Because as soon as they take some angles around you or your team starts to go down is when you're going to need to get really active. So my Life Weaver goes down. I'm just going to be trying to sit on the point. I'm going to need some sort of miracle play to happen. Soldier falls super 1 HP. I'm actually going to fight this maybe. As I have my perk, I'm going to be able to regen myself somewhat quickly here. Making sure that I'm carrying the angles. I see the Kiriko TP on this right side, and I'm going to be trying to pin out, and I get gripped by my Life Weaver, so we're just going to be able to hold this corner. I see someone on right side. Reaper goes behind. I can look for a pin onto it, but my Sierra is completely fragged out, which is going to be amazing for us. So now thinking about this next fight, I don't have my Earth Shatter, I don't have much Miracle Play potential. They do have Flux, and Card is not going to be in a position where I'm able to sit on an inside area to really win. I see their Sigma going right side. I'm going to be posturing on this right side, because as soon as they swing, I'm going to need to pressure it. But their Sigma goes in middle area, so I'm just going to go and match that. They have so many ultimates, it's going to be really hard, so I'm just going to be trying to clear our space the best that I can. The Reaper's going to the Mega, which is going to be really easy for us to chase down. And we are cleaning up this fight. Despite them using a bunch of ultimates, they use their Visor, they use their Flux, I believe they use their Blossom early. We are going to be able to maintain this point hold. They're on Hazard now. I think definitely an easier hero to play into. It's going to be a little bit higher mobility, and we're going to have to react faster to where they're pathing. Because they have that slash, they're going to be able to get around the map a lot easier. So it's going to be a little bit harder for us to really react. So we just need to be very attentive to wherever they're developing. We see the Reaper on right side, we see their Hazard on main. The Reaper actually backed up to main. And now I'm thinking about my Earth Shatter. They use their beat. I'm just going to kill this guy. We really want to pick on the board, especially when we're going to be potentially down on ultimates. I'm trying to proc my self-healing here, blocking the Soldier Visor, and I see their Reaper and their Hazard pinning into our backline, so I'm just going to be trying to clear these guys out the best that I can since I pinned back already. Their Kiriko doesn't have TP nor Suzu to really help here. But unfortunately, we will not be able to full hold this point, and we will be going down. I think that maybe I didn't need to make that play so aggressively onto their Kiriko Soldier lane. Maybe I could have just sat point or backed up onto the Hazard a little bit sooner. Yeah, I think backing up on a Hazard sooner would have been the play. I think that definitely would have been higher value since their Kiriko Soldier were a threat in that huge open space, and since they're both so high mobility, it's going to be way harder for us to clear them. Their Hazard's on this. I'm learning. I need to mark this Hazard. I can't mark that Soldier. But they're doing a bunch of shit, so I'm just going to go to cart. Trying to get this Mega so I'm able to live, but we're going to be finding some value here and taking away a lot of pressure for my team to actually be able to play the game. Since I was very low mobility, whenever you're on a brawl tank and you're not able to sort of get active on the fight, if there's somebody pushing the card, that's going to be at least one person who you can find some guaranteed value on. Since I didn't feel confident that I could actually get onto where the enemy team was able to get onto because they have just more mobility than me, I just want to go to card, trying to peel away as much resources and attention for my team as possible. Our Hazard goes in onto our Alari, and we will be falling here. This is why Reinhardt's been so difficult and has had such a low run rate for the past while. It's just because the lack of mobility really hurts him. His raw numbers are actually pretty good, and if you can put yourself in positions to actually play for your raw numbers, it can be really strong, but it's really difficult to actually execute. And as soon as I pop my Shatter, I'm going to swap here. I'm sticking for Shatter just because we need to get some sort of momentum back. That's kind of a miracle that Fire Strike didn't hit. Now that we popped our Shatter, I'm just going to be pinning the point under here because it's going to be really strong. and it's going to be somewhat hard to force us out as we're able to shield most of the angles. Our Lifer is trying to heal us, and our Cassie is able to find an amazing pick. But again, they're fighting on that high ground. We can't really do much, but all we can do is just pressure this cart. We make it really hard for them to get on the cart. Their Hazard finally looks at us, and we're going to be using that as a chance to sort of back up and get onto this high ground ourselves. Actually, no, we're not, because they're using a bunch of ults in this last fight. Oh, yeah. I need to clear that hazard inside of us, but if I tried to pin into their team, it would have been really, really rough. Reinhardt was definitely a really good pick on first point, but me trying to force him onto second for our retake was going to be really difficult. I think... Did I have Shatter? I'm wondering why I tried to... stick Reinhardt on second. It was a really good pick on first, but with second having a lot more high grounds, and it's not going to be as flat of a map, our pin is going to be way, way, way worse. It's going to be... much more difficult for us to find value on that hero, so a swap was kind of needed. But unfortunately, I didn't recognize that in time. I wasn't able to play to the value that I needed to as tank, especially since once they got those high grounds, they were able to sort of shoot us down, spam us out, and there wasn't going to be much that we could really do about it, and their Hazard was going to be slashing onto our backline consistently if I matched Hazard, or if I went Diva, or Winston, or kind of anyone. Like anyone else, I think that it would have been pretty good. If you do want to be playing something super brawly like a Reinhardt though, your pathing and your understanding of what space on the map needs to be controlled needs to be really, really good. Since I think, especially on our retake for second, if I identified that I could path the right side early to clear out the soldier and the Kiriko, or if I could clear out anyone who might be there while still being able to pin to the left side and find a good pinch, it would have been really, really good. If my pathing was better, I could have made it work, but it's generally just going to require such a like an insane level of understanding of what your job is and how you need to execute it. I do want to make a Reinhardt one-trick account again pretty soon, or play on mine. Actually, I have one. Because I love Reinhardt, and I think that they're better than people think they are right now. I think that they're just kind of misunderstood in their value. Problem would have been no skin, but I'll open the loot box. I'll see if I can get some skins. And thank you for the follow, Galactosphere. I really appreciate it. Looking at this next game here, Oasis City Center. Going to be a pretty chill map. A lot of heroes that we can play here. Diva's still banned, bro. I replied to a comment last night of someone asking why I don't play Diva, or why I haven't played Diva. And I said, like, oh, I can play them. I have accounts that basically one trick Diva. They're not my preferred hero because I feel like my execution on Winston is just a little bit better than it is on Diva, and I can do similar things. But I can play Diva, and I will play Diva in the next episode for you, bro. But they're just banned every game, so I feel kind of bad about that. With this team comp, I'm gonna be playing JunkerQueen. Thought process behind JunkerQueen: a lot of heroes could be really good here, and I don't think that JunkerQueen is the best pick possible. I think that something like a Hazard or Hazard. Something like a Hazard or a Winston or something with a little bit more vertical mobility would definitely be better. But JunkerQueen is going, as long as I'm focusing on my pathing and the mistakes that fixing the mistakes I made last game with Reinhardt, I'm going to be a very brawly hero, a lot more of a lower mobility. But as long as I'm thinking about where I really need to go with my positioning and what space I need to control, the JunkerQueen pick can still be very, very strong. But I also, now with the added factor of I need to hit my shots. So here, thinking about where we really want to be, Scouting where my team is. Looks like going to be on the center high ground. I want to be playing on this corner because this will allow me to get onto their back line easily if their hazard does anything. So here, as soon as their hazard goes in, is going to be it's going to be our trigger to actually walk down their team's squishies. A lot of people will just call that trading backline. As I get discorded and their Zenyatta finds a pretty good angle, we're just going to back up, but it will allow us to get a really... Whoa, I did not see that Zen there. We're going to get a pretty nice rotation to just find our way onto their backline instantly. Finding the kill onto the Juno, but unfortunately since we didn't see the Zen, we're going to take a little bit too much damage and get blown up. If I knew that the Zen was there, if I heard them a little bit more properly, we would have definitely won that fight. Hazard's backing up this left area. Zenyatta's main. Hazard on the right side. And Zenyatta's on this right side. So I want to be stepping into Zenyatta. We do force the Transcendence. That's going to be pretty good for us. I was hoping that their hazard would kind of like step me there. I'm going to be shouting, trying to keep my team up. My Lifeweaver Petal has the most unfortunate time in the world and blocks my knife. But we will be winning this point anyways. Looking for our Queen ult as soon as like we see the opportunity to sort of blow up their backline. It's going to be really, really valuable. I think they have Noon and Juno Ray. So with that in mind, I don't really want to rely on my Lifeweaver, so I'm actually going to be posturing a little bit towards this left side, meaning that if they want to force me out, they're going to have to commit those big ultimates to force me out, instead of just, if I played main, they would just be able to force me out on their way to the point. So my Juno pops, or their Juno pops, right? So does ours. So I'm just going to be chilling on this main area. I'm not able to get onto my Juno's Ray, unfortunately. But I can try to find my way onto their back line. But we will be going down. Very okay. They use their spikes, they use their Juno Ray, they use their Noon, they have Transcendence. Yes, they have Transcendence and maybe Overclock. With that in mind, we're coming pretty close up on our Queen ult. It's okay to just sort of be chilling and farming it for a little bit. If we don't see any opportunities to really get onto their backline, that's going to be a-okay. And I think that we can be just chilling until we have something that's going to be pretty known value for us. The Hazard walks up. I don't want to be forcing anything too much, especially with their Cassie and Zenyatta being able to really blow me up. It's going to make it last fight, but I think that's going to be very okay. So Juno passed towards the right side. We don't have a flank set up on that right, but we do open up the map. Their Cassie's getting carried, and I don't think that I'm in my effective range, so I'm just going to be chilling in their backline. We find a really nice knife, and we cleanse Discord early in this fight, which is best news ever. I really want to get onto the Zenyatta to see if I can force out their ultimate, but I'm just going to be ulting onto their Juno. And we will be finding the kill onto them. Knife comes out onto Zenyatta, and we are able to find the axe onto that. I'm going inside this room just to make it really difficult for their Hazard to really follow up in time on their spikes that they hit onto me. And we'll be chilling. Cassidy is main. As long as we're able to clean this up properly and they don't find any miracle frags, we'll be okay. I'm 100 HP. I can get one tap by a lot of things on their team, so I'm just going to sit in this little room, heal up, and if they were to contest, then I would be able to just like fight whoever's on point after I have a bit more HP. But since I didn't have the resources to actually poke their spawn there, it would have been better just to play for that brawl on the point. When playing against dive tanks, how do you know when to peel versus counter dive? Generally, it's going to be assessing sort of what your kit does best and where you're going to be like the biggest issue for the enemy team. So if they have a lot of shooters, if they have something that's going to assist their dive a bunch, then pressuring their backline is going to be really, really important. But if the dive is like a little bit too far in and the rest of their team isn't going to be able to get value off of that dive, then peeling or even just like holding out or holding the space to make sure that their team isn't able to walk is going to be super, super valuable. So assessing like most of the time on JunkerQueen, I'm not going to want to peel because my kit and my heroes numbers are really geared towards just killing people. So I want to be putting myself in spots very often to just straight up kill people. But if, let's say for example, if their Zenyatta was just standing in Narnia, if they were like really like across the map, just sort of poking down, but their hazard slashes across like onto this corner, I don't want to walk at that Zen all the way over there. I can just kill this guy right in front of me. So it's about assessing like sort of where your kit is able to find the most value. Generally, most heroes are going to have a default or something that they'd like to lean into, but making sure that you just sort of take it fight by fight is going to be fairly important. Just know what you can accomplish best. As we see their Lamp and their Suzu come out, they swap onto the Pharah, and that's actually going to be really scary for us. I'm not going to be able to stand on the point easily because they're going to have a bunch of angles set up. So I just want to be walking down on their backline because I knew that if I walked to point, then that would have been the exact scenario that I was just talking about of they're going to be like way too far for me to walk down. They're going to be in a really bad spot for me to actually fight, and if I tried to peel their hazard, who was fighting on the point, then I would have just been spammed out by their team. So the only option that I had was to find some sort of pathing onto their backline, find a way to find my hero's value. So I just ended up flanking in that specific spot. But let's say if they were a little bit closer, I knew their backline was a little bit closer, then I could have just played main. I'm trying to farm my ult here. I need my ult to win. Oh, maybe not. Far as 1 HP, so I'm just going to take a look at her and try and clean up all these low HP targets on the point. And we'll be looking pretty good. Mauga's going to be getting out by fading around on that coast side area, which is a-okay. Genji's looking to touch. That's the flex out. No fade on the Moira. I could flank like I did last time, but because I have my JunkerQueen ult, it's going to be very valuable. And if anyone tries to touch the point, if I just sort of anti them, it's going to be really, really difficult for them to stay here, and it wouldn't even matter that much if their backline had like angles main. Oh, I didn't hit the anti-on blue. Yeah, that really sucks. Their hazard walls in spots that I really don't expect. Cassie's main, Hazard's main. I just really need to be chilling. I'm low HP and their Hazard's able to one-shot me. So I'm going to be popping my axe, and I'm unfortunately going to be going down here. If I hit my Queen ult onto their Lucio, we definitely would have won that fight. I think that I actually probably could have held it way earlier or popped it sooner. I could have either held it longer or popped it sooner, but I think that using it when I did, it was kind of difficult. Just because I missed the Lucio. If I hit the Lucio, we could have won, but alas, these things happen. Thinking about this next fight though, since they're on the Cassie and the Genji, they want to be playing a lot faster on my team, so now this is going to be a position in which peeling is going to be a lot more viable. Because their backline is going to be harder for me to actually find my kills onto, because they're going to be super high mobility. Sort of stacking on my team is going to be really, really strong because it's going to be harder for me to find value onto the backline. But since my team ends up super scattered and split across the map, I'm just going to sit on the point and try to find whatever kills that I can. It just happens to be on the backline, but if the Hazard was there, I'd shoot the Hazard. I think that looking into this next fight onto their comp, I'm just going to sit on my Juno. I'm just going to kind of act like a Brigitte here. As long as like my Juno sort of lives and they want to continue sort of like crashing out and stepping onto my backline the best that they can, I think that we'll just be kind of chilling. I'm going to be getting healed more than them because they have Moira. They have a limited heal resource. So I'm just going to be putting myself low. I'm very close to my ult. I'm trying to build it here. and living the best that I can to do so. We end up really split again. Lucio and Cassidy go antied. I really need that kill on the Cassidy. We procced overtime, so we were able to go for that play on our team. My Onion's on the point. Oh, I forgot. I always forget that she can res herself. That's awesome. And we'll be cleaning up this game. Oh, never mind. Not over yet. Oh, definitely not over yet. Alright, now it's over. Nice. Okay, definitely got a lot harder as our team was ending up super split and we weren't able to necessarily peel, nor were we able to step on their backline like we were in previous fights. JunkerQueen's value is just generally going to be really, really difficult there if my team was able to play a little bit more stacked, or if I were able to walk onto somebody a little bit more consistently in those fights. JunkerQueen would have a lot easier time, but something like a heroes like a Winston or a Ramatra might be a little bit better there, just to sort of give your team an anchor point and be a little bit more of a constant nuisance onto their team. I don't think JunkerQueen is bad there, it's just really mechanically demanding. I think that I will play 1 or 2 more games. I don't know how many we've played today. Maybe 3? 4? Damn! 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Yeah, I'll play 1 more game today. Usually, I'm like a chronic queuer. I can queue for 15 hours a day. Oh, thank you so much for the follow, J Cade. I appreciate it. But I like to keep the videos sort of timely. So I usually look over and see like how long I've been recording for to determine like if I should stop, or if I get tired, or if I have something coming up, then I'll just stop at that point. But usually, like, once I see it hit around, like, the 45-minute hour mark is when I'll stop recording. But I didn't know. I don't... Since I'm streaming this on Twitch, I don't have the normal, like, recording time that I usually do. And we get King's Row off of the random. Kind of crazy. We start with a King's Row, and we're going to end with a King's Row. Not going to upload a 15-hour video with 40 games. I could. It'd get a lot less educational as time goes on. I talk like a lot. And I love just sort of like thinking through and talking through my thought process. But at that point, you're just building your skill floor. There's only so much Overwatch or focused Overwatch that humans can play. Where you're actively like thinking through each game and you're working through all of your problems. See, I just wanted to play Diva, man. You'll never hear me say those words, but I just want to play Diva. But for like those 15-hour queues sessions that I would do, it's literally just to build up mechanics and micro. Like at some point, you can't actually be like refining your thought process that much because your brains just get tired, and Overwatch is a very like thinking demanding game. But queuing for insanely long periods of time will raise your skill floor. It will raise like sort of whatever you do intuitively. And it will help out with your mechanics a bunch. If you're queuing like a bunch, just raw hours on the game are going to help out a lot with actually executing on any ideas that you have when you are focused. So raw hours of queuing the game are going to be really important if you want to be really, really good. But for most players, genuinely, if you're refining your thought process, it'll be more than enough to climb through most ranks. You're only going to really need a bunch of raw hours, probably starting around like master, like mid-masters, high GM. I'm gonna be playing Hazard. Execution. Okay, execution is the baseline of Overwatch. If you can't execute on your ideas properly, then you won't get anywhere. but that comes with just playing the game and trying your ideas out. So I see them on Sigma here and Alari. Or we have an Alari, we have an Ana. I really want to be getting onto this high ground, and as they back up a little bit and give me a little bit more space, it'll open up the opportunity for me to sort of step. I don't necessarily need to get on their backline yet, so I'm just going to shoot this guy. I provide more than enough damage to actually force that guy out. I forgot that spot existed. I was wondering where their Kiri and Sierra went, but since we just sort of took the map space, we were slowly pulling resources, making sure that the Sigma couldn't really stand on that corner, and then walking up and looking for our plays afterwards. We're just going to win this point. I don't even need kills. My team definitely did a really good job there of actually like following up on any attention that we brought. But I think that we will be a significant factor in helping with that. What happens if you wall off Sierra's like route to the bot? Does it stop, or do they just sort of like go through? I don't know. Their Sierra's going to be fighting or pressuring that top left area, so we're just going to walk up and try and blow them up the best that we can. And now I just want to be chilling on this main area. And we'll be cleaning up this hazard using our Alari ult. I want to make sure this Genji has a hard time actually getting out. Their Ana sleep dart is going to be a little bit scary for us, so I'm just going to try to clear this Kiri, which would have been a target that would be harder for their Ana to sleep. But since we have the advantage, since we have the lead, we really don't want to be like throwing it away for some sort of like extra play that we really don't need. We're pushing the cart, they're not threatening whatsoever. We don't need to go for any more kills here. It'd be nice to get them. But making sure that we're not giving up the lead or giving the enemy team opportunities to to sort of walk us down is going to be really important. Their Sierra drops a low ground. I'm waiting for their next Ana sleep. They don't have it quite yet, but they're going to have it in just a second. Their Sierra goes up into the... I need to turn this Genji. I get slept though, which really sucks, but fortunately my Alari is able to clutch up. So now we're going to be getting onto their Ana and cleaning them up as soon as their Genji goes down. Nanoblade is going to be a really scary and strong win condition that we would need to be thinking about. But fortunately we were able to clear out all the potential support or pressure that we would be able to follow up on it. Their Sierra does drone out. Their Sigma's kind of high HP, but I see my team shooting them, so I'm just going to be backing up and trying to force them out the best I can. Sierra steps onto us top right, Ana bottom right, Kiri bottom left. I think I just have to back and clear our space, walling the Sigma into us. And we are able to find that kill. Sierra's going to do a bunch of damage onto us though, so we're just going to stabilize. I'm trying to get my cooldowns back, letting my team play the game and letting my Emre get all the healing. If I continue to swing the corner, pressure, and take damage, then it means that my healers would have been more pressured to actually heal me. But if I'm putting myself in a really safe spot, then it's going to be much easier for them to do their job and just keep our Emre alive. Their Emre goes, or their Sierra goes down. And their Tracer will fall low too. So now that we've cleared out their shooters, there's not going to be actually much threat onto us on the point. So I'm just going to be clearing out whoever sort of pops up and then fighting this hog later. If we get nano, which is going to help a lot with actually just sort of winning the raw numbers exchange on the card. I actually don't know if we would have won it without that nano. It's a great play from my Ana. And we will be full capping this point. Hazard is going to be one of the strongest heroes in ranked, I believe. I think that they have one of the highest win rates. And it's just generally because he's able to do a lot of things right now. He's going to be able to heal himself with the new change to the initiator role or sub role. So they're going to heal themselves on basically everything that they do. They're going to be able to actually like one-shot people. If you have mechanics, they can win brawls on front to back. They're just generally really good at a lot of different things, but they will struggle into super strong shooters, or when they don't have the ability to actually get onto targets that they want. They're going to lose some raw number trades in the front line if they're not able to clear out the surrounding space before that. Like into the Roadhog, if I didn't try to clear out the Kiriko or the I don't remember who else was around them, but if I didn't try to clear out their shooters around them and their healers, and I just try to walk straight at their Roadhog, I would have died for sure. Hazard is going to be also one of the highest skill ceiling heroes, at least mechanically. Maybe not so much like actually like brain wise, but mechanics on Hazard are going to be something that you can continue to push and push and push and push. And it's one of the reasons why I think that aim training on tank is actually, if you are a tank player, is actually still pretty important. Hazard actually was probably, when Hazard first dropped and it was like that super strong Hazard meta, that was definitely one of, if not my best performing metas in my career as a competitive player. Just because I play a good bit of Kovacs for a tank player. So Mizuki's gonna be walking that top right, and I hear footsteps. Bro. I really just want to be locking down this point. As Hog walks up, I'm just gonna be trying to wall them off and blow or take as many resources away from them as possible with that play that they use. I don't have my wall. I really want to get onto that Sierra top right. But that Roadhog is just going to be in a position to actually sort of force us down. As soon as that Roadhog's hook is out and there's nothing to really stop us from getting onto that Sierra, we want to be forcing them off that high ground. The Roadhog's on the point. I have two options. I can go to point, or I can clear those shooters, and like we were just talking about, clearing their shooters is going to be a really, really strong option most of the time. As their shooters are sort of looking at me, it's going to allow my team to open up some options. If I can find that kill, oh, my mechanics, I'm a bomb. If I was able to find the kill onto the Baptiste, I think that we would have been in a much better position. But me taking all of the aggression, all of the vision away from my team, who's then going to just be able to shoot for free at the Roadhog standing on the point, is going to be really, really good. But because Hazard is not as mobile as like a Winston or a Diva or a Wrecking Ball, I kind of needed to find a frag there. I needed to play into my mechanics or lose the fight. And unfortunately, I missed my shots on the Baptiste. I was not able to find the frag, and we will be going down and losing that fight. The Roadhog's on the main area, so that means that we're going to be pretty free to take this top right area. Looking at my team, we're going to be ready to fight this main pretty soon. Their Sierra is back main, their Roadhog's inside, so as soon as they start backing is when I want to be getting active. Amazing nade coming out from my Ana. I'm just going to be shooting this guy down as our Alaria ults into their backline. We want to be thinking about how we can get active. Walling off their Sierra's main kite route is going to be really, really important there. And we'll be holding down this point. I think that they're coming pretty close on ults, especially Whole Hog. Whole Hog's something we really need to be careful of. So I'm actually just going to give up main for free. Letting my shooters shoot and play for their range a little bit more, since I'm not going to be able to effectively hold the choke because they have Whole Hog to essentially just one-shot me. I'm going to just chill. And I get the massive ult onto their backline, but they use both of their DPS ults to try to clear me out. I think that I could have definitely played a little bit more passive. As I saw them all walking into that lane, I got really excited thinking that I'd be able to kill the Baptiste, and if they did not use both their ultimates for me, I definitely would have. I'm questioning if Hazard's a little bit too difficult here, and I do believe that they are, so I'm going to be going Mauga with this comp. Just kind of a straight up counter pick into what they're doing. Mauga's going to be really, really strong at raw number exchanges, so when they're going to be on heroes that prio most of their stuff into their damage numbers, Mauga's going to be pretty strong against that. If you have some sort of tank to really sort of melt down and use as what I like to call a chug. So we get mana, it means it's our time to shine. I want to make sure that I'm carrying hook here, and ideally I get a cancel. Oh my god. Oh my god, I get my pin canceled. I wanted to sit inside of the corner and try to get my pin back because walking out would have been basically guaranteeing that I would get hooked. And now my team's going to be in a really rough spot because I overextended for that play. I really thought actually they would be swapping off of Roadhog just because this counter is like really hard for Roadhog to play into. The Roadhog wants to be looking for a one-shot hook onto us using that pit. So we want to be very mindful of that. We see their Mizuki go for a big play, so I'm just going to be using my pin to walk onto where they are. And doing my best to get out, but unfortunately it will not be enough as a Roadhog walks onto me inside of the Mega Room. Our team is going to be held back by their team on the main, and so we're going to be going down. And since I use an ultimate though, perfectly a-okay, it will open up our team and me in this fight especially to... Did the Roadhog die? Yeah. To actually clean up and find our own value. They are going to swap to Sigma, which means that we're going to be wanting to play a lot more for our actual like brawl value. As they start to get aggressive and as they start to swing onto us a bit more is when we really want to kind of blow them up. I'm hiding in this corner with the idea of their Sigma is going to have to clear us if they want to walk, and we're forcing out all of this stuff right now. Since they use VP ult, it means that I'm going to be cut off from my heals. So I just want to pin out of there. I want to be out of there as soon as I can. And looking at the clock, I don't really want to be using ults here. I was thinking about caging, but since there's 2 minutes on the clock and they didn't have a real threat set up, and I didn't think that there was going to be a way for them to really like win in the position that they were, I just wanted to chill. I just wanted to sort of AFK, let the time tick down. Since we're on defense, they're on offense. If nothing else happens for the rest of the game, we're going to win. So I just wanted to sort of chill and wait in that neutral area and save my cage for a time where it really matter. Like potentially if they have their rush coming up here. I'm looking for a pin onto the Sigma. Since they don't have their hands, it's going to mean that I'm able to go for that aggressive play a bit more freely, but bro, it's taken so, like, it's so hard to adjust. Sierra just does so much damage and I never expect it. That was really close, but generally the idea was that if their Sigma was, since their Sigma used their hands up, they know I'm here. I don't want to get chained by the Mizuki, it would be end of the world. So I just want to be backing up, and I'm going to be playing for my cage on main. As their Mizuki walks forward and their Ember uses their ultimate, I'm just going to be caging, trying to negate as much value as I possibly can. Their ultimate, or their Sierra ult is going to be actually kind of like blowing us up though. So we just want to be like super chilling, playing for our gun value, setting people on fire so we continue proccing our overhealth. And we will be closing out that fight. I think that for this fight, they're close flux. Yes, they're close flux. There are two ways I can go about it. I can be either really chill and force them to try to use it onto me to push or to get any progress on the cart, or I could be playing really aggressively. But generally, I'm going to be trying to save my pin because I become unstoppable in my pin if they use their flux onto me. Then it means that I'm going to be able to react out of it. But since we got a pick on the board and their Sigma was in a super slammable position, I was just going to be able to find that slam down onto the Sigma, get them low enough HP to the point where they would not be able to get a safe flux off, and we will be closing out that game. Very interesting how the meta is sort of shifting. With Sierra being buffed today, they went from 7 damage per bullet to 9 damage per bullet on their gun, as well as I think a few other minor tweaks. Their drone also has more health. They're going to be a real threat in ranked for tank players, especially because it's a projectile. Generally against squishier heroes, it's going to be a little bit harder to land your shots consistently than like a hit scan would or like a soldier would. But since you are going to be having generally really, really big hitboxes as a tank, it's going to be much easier to find that consistent damage onto you, and Sierra will just have or be able to output 720 damage per clip. And with a few techs, you can just kind of extend your clip size like 3 times over. So I suspect, I haven't actually like played her that much. I haven't grinded her that much, but I suspect that Sierra is going to be actually pretty damn good in ranks for quite a while, and they're probably not going to get nerfed because you need your new hero to be good for marketing. But with that all said and done, that was the tank episode of Overwatch Everyday. And okay, well, I'm supposed to say like I'll see y'all tomorrow, and this is the point in which like editing Eevee will like cut it out, but I don't know. So first episode over, bye.